CEO refuses to ride elevator with black employee. Karma hits instantly. In the towering glass skyscraper of a billion-dollar company, a young black employee stepped into the elevator, clutching her files nervously. She was new, ambitious, and full of hope. But as the doors began to close, the CEO himself walked in, then froze. His face twisted with disgust. With a sneer, he barked, "I don't ride elevators with staff." In front of everyone, he shoved her out and rode up, alone, leaving the floor buzzing with whispers. To him, she was invisible, unworthy of sharing the same space. What he didn't realize was that in just moments, fate would trap him in the most humiliating situation of his life, and the same employee he rejected would hold his future in her hands. The Sterling Heights Tower was a symbol of power, 40 stories of steel and glass overlooking the city. It housed one of the nation's most prestigious corporations, Sterling & Co. Employees wore sharp suits, moving with purpose, chasing promotions and recognition. Among them was Maya Johnson, a bright, hard-working young black woman who had just landed her first job in the corporate world. She was ambitious but humble, raised to believe that respect was earned through diligence and kindness. Her mother had worked as a nurse her entire life, and Maya carried that same sense of service and strength with her. But Sterling & Co. wasn't always welcoming. At the top sat CEO Richard Langford, a man born into wealth who believed status defined worth. He had little patience for ordinary employees and often displayed his disdain openly. On Maya's third week, she stepped into the elevator, balancing a stack of reports. As the doors were closing, Richard himself walked in. For a split second, she felt nervous but hopeful. Maybe she'd make a good impression, but instead, his eyes narrowed. "You," he said coldly. "Out." Confused, Maya froze. "I don't ride elevators with staff. Get out." His voice carried, echoing down the lobby. Heads turned, co-workers stared. Maya, cheeks burning, stepped off. The doors slid shut, carrying him upward, while quiet laughter rippled behind her. Humiliated, Maya told herself to stay strong. But inside, she wondered, was this the cost of chasing her dream in a place like this? What neither Maya nor Richard realized was that this single act of cruelty would set off a chain of events that no amount of money or power could control. As the elevator rose, Richard smirked to himself. In his world, hierarchy was everything. He believed leaders should be untouchable, far removed from the ordinary. What he didn't know was that arrogance often invites downfall. And his was seconds away. Halfway up, the elevator jolted violently. The lights flickered, and with a loud metallic screech, it stopped. Richard staggered, gripping the railing, his smugness evaporating as the realization hit. He was trapped. Outside, alarms buzzed. Employees gathered, whispering about the CEO stuck between floors. The maintenance team rushed, but the system was badly jammed. Hours could pass before rescue. Maya, still shaken from the humiliation, returned to her desk. That's when she got the call. Her supervisor, pale and nervous, explained, "The CEO's trapped, and the tech team says you're the only one on site who knows the new digital override system. You trained last week, right?" Maya froze. The system was her responsibility. Her knowledge could free him. The same man who threw her out now needed her more than anyone. Taking a deep breath, Maya rushed to the control room. Her hands trembled, not just from pressure but from the irony of it all. Employees gathered, watching as she typed commands, her calm voice directing the team. Inside the elevator, Richard's frustration turned to desperation. He shouted, cursed, and even pounded the doors. For the first time in years, he was powerless. After nearly an hour, Maya's steady work triggered the release. The doors creaked, open, revealing the CEO drenched in sweat, his once perfect suit rumpled, his arrogance shattered. He stumbled out, gasping for air, only to meet the eyes of the crowd and the steady, unflinching gaze of the young black employee he had humiliated. In that moment, the entire company saw the truth. The man who thought himself above others had been utterly dependent on the very person he deemed beneath him. The lobby was silent as Richard stepped out of the elevator, his face pale. Employees exchanged glances, some hiding smirks. For years they had endured his arrogance, but today they witnessed a different kind of justice. Maya stood with her supervisor, still steady despite her racing heart. Richard looked at her, his pride battling the reality of what had just happened. He opened his mouth as if to speak, but the words died on his tongue. Instead, her supervisor spoke loudly. "Everyone, let's give a hand to Maya. Without her, the CEO might still be stuck." Applause erupted. Staff clapped, some even cheering, not just for Maya's skill, but for the poetic irony. Richard flinched at the sound, his humiliation deepening. He muttered a half-hearted, "Thank you," but it was drowned out by the celebration around Maya. For the first time, the CEO wasn't the center of admiration. The spotlight belonged to the employee he had tried to push aside. That night, whispers spread across the building, then the city. CEO refuses elevator with black. Employee ends up trapped until she saves him. The story traveled fast, fueling conversations about arrogance, respect, and racism in corporate America. In the weeks that followed, Richard's reputation crumbled. Shareholders questioned his leadership, pointing to the viral incident as proof of his disconnect from reality. His arrogance had not only embarrassed him, but tarnished the company's image. Under pressure, he quietly stepped down months later. As for Maya, her courage and competence didn't go unnoticed. The board recognized her not just for her technical skills, but for her composure under pressure. She was promoted, gaining respect throughout the organization. But for Maya, the victory wasn't about titles or promotions. It was about proving that worth isn't determined by status, skin color, or position. It's revealed in moments of crisis, when character speaks louder than power. She often thought back to that humiliating moment in the elevator lobby, and how quickly the tables turned. One man's cruelty had become his downfall, and her quiet strength had turned her humiliation into triumph. The story became a legend within Sterling & Co., a reminder etched into corporate culture. Never underestimate the people you look down on. And for everyone who heard it, one haunting question remained. If arrogance can trap a man in his own elevator, what other prisons do we build when we forget to respect others?